Yeah, man. Black women have to understand what we are truly up against. And whatever your man is going through, whatever your counterpart is going through, you're going through as well. Whether you're unconscious of the fact or not. You know what I'm saying? And you know, needing to understand this fact, needing to understand, you know, the way that you're being conspired against. And, most of the stresses that the black woman is experiencing is because she doesn't have her other, her counter support half in that male. Because so many males and so many black men are being conspired against, by denying them that opportunity of the job, and then, criminalizing them when that brother, who can't get that job goes out and attains his own means of income by, which mostly is, through selling narcotics or selling herb, things of this nature, and risking this criminalization once again, all because he's trying to do what a man's nature is, to provide. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of this job not hiring me, that doesn't mean that my income should stop at all. Not folks should stop. That doesn't mean that I should stop trying to get it. Period. Because the nature, the divine nature of the man is to provide. You know what I'm saying? So when a man goes out and he does whatever he has to do to provide, because this opportunity may not be allotted to him, whether it be, making music, selling bootleg DVDs, selling weed, fixing cars, whatever a brother has to do on the side, in spite of his unemployment. The black woman should support that shit as long as he's not hurting anybody, all the way, because at the end of the day, our brothers are being criminalized for some shit that other people are doing. And like I'm saying, herb is legal in 20 something states now. Herb is legal in 20 some states now. And understanding the whole gaffle in the justice system. You understand, this shit here shows you the gaffle in the justice system, because this shit legal in 20 something states now. And you come down to Georgia and they heckling you for a roach in your car. You know what I'm saying? Which shows you that this is something that is all about, greed, and, people not wanting to let certain things go because they understand other aspects that we may not be conscious of. You know what I'm saying? Because actually, herb represents a freedom. Herb represents a freedom of humanity and all that shit. Back when the last time herb was flowing free, you had people stand up against the government like a motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? People ain't hearing. White and black people, herb is the great common denominator. You know what I'm saying? All us come together, smoke weed, and talk, and be like, you know what, you're right. It's so many guards that come down. It's the gateway drug for a whole nother reason. It's not because, oh yeah, it's not because, this prompts you to do other drugs. It's the gateway drug because it opens the gateway of the kingdom, and it gets people, and it opens the mind to where people actually have the time to listen. People actually find the time for themselves. First off, many people find the time for themselves. Many people find the time to listen. When taking in the herb, and taking in the herb. So this is why herb has been heavily monitored and regulated. Now this is the regulation of herb. As opposed to the decriminalization. And when you having to understand things like that, that herb, first of all, herb isn't even a fucking drug, you know what I'm saying? But then for them to be criminalizing your sons, your husbands, your brothers, and nephews for this, to criminalize them behind this. But then they'll have shows like Weeds where white people are selling weed and that shit's okay, just submitting this concept in your mind. It's alright for white people to do it, but goddamn it, there ain't no fucking movie or TV show that shows black people just selling weed and that shit's okay. But you got shit like Marijuana Inc. and you got shit like Drug Wars. The other day it really it really seeped into my mind the other night when it was about 2, 3 in the morning. This show called what was it, Drugs Inc. or something like that. And you got brothers on here. You have black men on here with red bandanas on their face, hiding their identity with red bandanas on their face, black bandanas on their face, you know, chopping up crack. Chopping up crack on National Geographic, saying that they've been doing this shit since they were 6. They ain't never knew nothing else. You know what I'm saying? That is amazing. It is amazing. That you could have people on weed shows and none of them are black. You know what I'm saying? Pay attention. None of the people in those weed shows are black. If they do show black people, they're like my color. They're red, they're light skinned. No, we know they're that color. They're not any dark skinned brothers and sisters, because the dark skinned brothers and sisters ultimately represent the black population. Back in the 60s and the 70s, the archetype black man, archetype black people were the dark-skinned brothers and sisters, but anybody that is in jail, this is how you could truly see, the true war against black people. You know what I'm saying? Because just like I said, back in the 60s and 70s, you seen way more dark-skinned brothers and sisters out here grinding, doing whatever. You know what I'm saying? The Henry Highland Garnets, the Marcus Garveys, whomever, you seen them out here. We was here. But now if you go to jail, most of the brothers in jail are dark skinned. And anybody can tell you this, especially here in Macon. You know what I'm saying? I'd have been in jail plenty of times in Macon, a few times. You know what I'm saying? And to go behind that wall and see just how many dark skinned, the complexion difference, how many dark skinned brothers is in there, compared to, the lighter ones, it is amazing. You see the total war on black people. You see the total war on us. And even on your jobs, many times on your jobs, you have the light skinned pretty chick, the real Olivia Pope looking pretty girl, you know what I'm saying, red, all that good shit, but very, and even for the brothers, you may have, the red brothers in there all day, but very, very seldom do you see large, any kind of quantity of dark-skinned brothers and sisters in these employers and in these jobs, and if so, they're gonna be some crack ass niggas, you know what I'm saying, for a lack of goddamn pretty words and shit, you know what I'm saying. You're gonna get some white ass dark skinned brothers and sisters, with that totally European mind frame, you know what I'm saying. That's the only way they gonna be in that bitch is if they're completely void of their African self, you know what I'm saying. Amazing to see that. So when I'm talking about black on black crime, and I say that it's levels to this shit, black women not dialoguing on a higher level is black on black crime. Black policemen, hounding young brothers, black policemen hounding young brothers, in the name of fighting crime. This is black on black crime. Black policemen going so hard on young black men. That is black on black crime. You understand? Ultimately, because from the church all the way to the fucking streets, from the church to the gangsters niggas in the goddamn nation, to the so-called gangsters niggas in the nation, black people are afraid of white people. You know what I'm saying? We have been taught to not say shit to or about white people, no matter how wrong they are, because we know that a fucking white man will lock us up, throw us in some handcuffs and shoot us, throw us in the goddamn river, you know what I'm saying, and still get off on that shit, this is in the back of our mind. This is why black people have no problem going hard on each other, but we turn our cheek to what the enemy does. So that's why it's interesting. Turn the other cheek in church. If you understand the history of the Christian church, understanding that the Christian church was the greatest converter of slaves anyway. And back when the slave master, would allow one slave to, lead or pastor, one Sunday, on a select Sunday, they'll go out in the woods and the slave master would hide, and he'd make sure that the slave, delivered his message completely, which was he made sure that the slave did not get off topic, that the pastor, with the slave which became the pastor, did not get off topic, which was one. It was only three things. It was three things. Turn the other cheek, obey your master, do what you're told. Turn the other cheek, just do what you're told, and hey, one day, all this gonna be over, and the sky gonna crack, and God gonna come save us from this bullshit. Those were the three sermons that we always that it was mandatory that the preacher give his congregation. And this is the same thing that we have now, so much so to the point where we are turning our cheeks on everything white people do. We turn our cheeks to everything white people do, but the smallest goddamn thing that a brother or sister does, it fucking makes us blow up. Smallest thing our children do, it makes us blow up, and we snapping on our kids. Totally misappropriated energy and black on black crime. Ultimately, forming and taking and manifesting into black on black crime. Churches not finding it in themselves to come together. This is black on black crime. Churches not finding it in themselves to not come together to really study, to see that all of y'all are falling for some bullshit anyway, from the black church to the white church. You know what I'm saying? You're going for bullshit. You just going for bullshit. Bottom line, at the end of the day, for the sake of conversation, you're just going for some bullshit. So how can we blame the rest of the world for falling into some bullshit when this all we do every day, every Sunday? We feed into some bullshit and throw money at it. You know what I'm saying? How can we sit back and and talk shit about our government when this is what we do in our lives, man? Feed into the bullshit and and we throw money at it. That was one of the messages in Adam and Eve. They fed into the bullshit. The apple was the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? They fed into some bullshit. Bottom line, stop feeding into bullshit. Stop feeding into mindless junk food. I'm trying to give you food for thought. I'm trying to give y'all food, spiritual food. Stop taking this junk food. Stop taking this spiritual junk food. That's all y'all are taking, from the TV all the way to your church on Sunday. So much, you're taking a bunch of junk food. And it's time for us to get into the meat and potatoes of this thing. You know what I'm saying? Stop being babes in the word. We are babes in the word right now, man. You know what I'm saying? It's time to grow up so we can get into the meat and potatoes and things, man. And stop being in denial of all of our issues. When I bring up slavery and how fucked up white people were for that shit, you know what I'm saying? White people need to look at that shit and be real with it and understand that this is a part of your psychology. Because in that same way that I talk about slavery and how fucked up white people are for that shit, it's the same thing with black on black crime and what I just broke down in this little video right here. You know what I'm saying? Black on black crime is the total equivalent, to what white people did to us in slavery. But we're just doing it to ourselves now. So if we really desire to set America on a true axis of heavenly progression, true heavenly progression, and we truly desire to get America out of this hell that it's in. First, we just got to fucking get out of this state of denial we in this whole state of pathology where we rationalize everything to, hey, that's just how it is, So that's all I'm saying, man. Understand that there's a level to this black on black crime shit, and the violence that you see in the streets, that's just the result. That's just the apex. That's just the epitome of black on black crime. But what takes place that leads to the most extreme form, which is killing a brother for a damn Madden game. Killing a brother because you lost in a Madden game. What leads to that point? And that's what I'm breaking down here in the black on black violence, that is levels to this shit. You know what I'm saying? So, those were my final thoughts. Like I say, man, hey, you already know who I am. I love you. God bless. And be safe, man. To those, as I said earlier, so many people, like, hey, man, man, you already talking. What are you doing? Motherfucker, like I say, I drill in the point 1,000 goddamn times. I